All right, so I had a couple other things some other questions somebody asked me about. Oh man, I forgot to cover this part. They asked me what was the system requirements of Nessus, and here it is right here. But anyway, we're already past Nessus. So, okay, so somebody asked me this question here, and they said it's about DoD instruction 8510.01, this is the risk management framework for DoD IT. And they're asking me if I provide this in my training. They ask me, do you provide training on 8510 risk management for DoD and CNSS instruction 1253 in your training? And my quick and dirty answer is no. I don't specifically talk about these two things. They might come up a couple times, but the thing is, and the reason why I opted against it is because 80% of what I teach is what you need for 80. If you know what I'm teaching, which is purely NIST 853, if you know 837, you'll know 80% of what you need to know, or 90% of what you need to know for 8510 DoD for DoD IT risk management, and for the national security instruction 1253. And I'm going to explain to you why, because I'm going to show you the differences. All right, so this is the 8500 series, and the 8500 series, it's covering cybersecurity, risk management framework, and it was formerly known as DIACAP, which is DoD Information Assurance Certification and Accreditation Process. This is something that I did for many, many years. At one point, it was the only thing I knew. Like, I didn't know how to blink or breathe or speak. All I knew was DoD DIACAP Information Assurance Certification Process. It's all I did. I taught it. I wrote books about it. Everything I did was DIACAP. It's all I did. And I've since moved on from that. Thank goodness. But they transitioned about, 6-7 years ago. They transitioned from DIACAP, which was certification and accreditation process, to something called risk management framework, which is it was almost entirely based on risk management framework, NIST risk management framework 8537 and 853, which is what I teach. So if you know those things, this other stuff is a piece of cake, and I'm going to show you like where the differences are. So one of the main differences, I'm going to keep this super high level. If you happen to be DoD, this will all make sense to you, and you'll start to understand where the differences are between NIST 800 series and the DoD Risk Management Framework IT. It's not that different. Here is one of the main differences, is that the DoD, the Department of Defense, has a specific category of information technologies. And this is how, what you're seeing here is how they break it up. They have an information system, and I'll give you examples of these, but you have information systems, you have PIT, which is Platform Information Technology, you have IT services, and you have IT products. And the differences, real quick, to understand this, is on the left side, on this, wait, let me see if I could point. Wait, I'll use my cursor here. On this side right here, these systems are systems that have to be not only assessed, but also they have to be, wait, my cursor's not there. Hold on a second. They have to be not only assessed, meaning you have a subject matter expert, either yourself or a third party, comes in and runs scans, checks documentation, make sure everything is good. That's what assessment means. To make sure you have all the security controls in place and it's functioning like it's supposed to, and the security controls are effectively in place. So that you do that, but also you have to authorize it. That means you have to have a document called a system security plan, and it has to be approved by an authorizing authority, which is normally like a head of agency. It's like a CIO or a CEO or somebody way high up has to take the risk by signing their name on the dotted line on the documentation that you put together, saying, yea, verily, this has been assessed. We confirm that everything is good. There's no lies on this. everything is awesome on this. So authorization, assessment and authorization is a long and tedious process. Now on the other side of this, you've got IT services, IT products. You've got small software like maybe Microsoft Office that's on several systems or something like that. These don't need an authorization. They only need to be assessed. So this definition and these systems here is where the DoD kind of parts ways with the NIST. But really not that much, because an information system is described as a collection of it's just a collection of computers. It could be like a specific example would be like if you had it could be a floor. Enclaves could be like you work, let's say you work in building 555, right? And on building 555, you have one of the floors is the IT department and the human HR department. All those systems are an enclave. That's what an enclave is. It's an enclosed network, right? It can be attached to open networks such as the internet, or it can be attached to DMZ or something like that. And then you've got major applications that's also under information. Another example of an information system might be a weapon system that is attached to a satellite system. Like it's a satellite that's attached to a bunch of servers that are here and there all over the world, and what they do is they monitor the moon cycles or something like that. But it's a bunch of servers, computers, and it's all under one person who is, it has its own boundary. So that's also an information system. It can be a collection of different information systems that serve in one function. It can even be a standalone information system, like one computer that does something really important. That's also an information system. Now, a PIT system that means platform information technology. And the way that I understand this is that it can be like, let me see if I can give you a specific example. Like, let's say there's an Air Force weapon system, and it is a gun that has a computer on it, and that computer has firmware, has a little bit of software, and it's attached to the gun, and it can fire at certain intervals. That could be a platform IT. It's specifically designed for one thing, and it's a combination of firmware, software, and hardware. That's my understanding of a platform IT. Platform IT doesn't, as far as I know, doesn't appear in the NIST 853 or I could be wrong, in NIST 837. They don't like go into detail about a platform IT, but the 8500 series does. And so that's one of the main differences. And one of the first things you do in the NIST process when you're doing categorization, preparation and categorization, is you determine what the system that you're on, you determine if that system is an information system, a major application, an enclave, or a platform IT, and that determines whether or not you're going to assess and authorize it or just assess it. So that's one of the differences between DoD, Risk Management Framework IT, and just NIST 800. And there's not that much different, but I'm going to show you the other things that are different here. Another thing that's different with DoD Risk Management Framework is that they have what's called national security systems. A national security system is a high level computer system that could be a server, it could be a workstation, it could be a phone, right? Anything that does intelligence activities, cryptographic activities for national security systems, command and control of military forces. Like if you had a database that tracked troop movements in different countries or something, that's definitely a national security system. And weapon systems, like the smart gun that I described a few minutes ago. Those are all might be considered national security systems. And these right here are some examples of national security. If you had like a space-based laser, that might be a national. I mean, that would definitely be a national security system. So these are just some examples that I grabbed off of Google Images. I've never worked on any of these systems, so just so you know. I keep saying that just in case somebody's watching me. I know it's paranoid, but I'm a cybersecurity guy. So, okay, so CNSSI 1253 goes into great detail about national security systems. And so there's a few things about national security systems that set them apart from the NIST Risk Management Framework 800 series, and a little bit even from the DoD run-of-the-mill DoD risk management framework IT systems. Because you got to remember, there's a difference between, say, a leave and earning statement database, right? A system that prints out the military pay for Marines or something, right? So they have some kind of a system that does this for them, and that system has to go through authorization and assessments and stuff like that. That's not a national security system necessarily. That might not be a national security system. But what national security system, a system that might be a national security system would be, like I said, a space-based laser, right? It's a weapon system, it has encryption, it's tied directly to national interest of the United States, things like that. Okay, so here's some things that set this apart, a national security system apart, and what you do differently with these systems. Number one is it doesn't follow the high watermark system that the NIST does, and I can explain what I mean by that. So high watermark is, if I could describe this, right here. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah. Okay, so right here, wait, let me go back. So right here, we're talking about an acquisition system information type. So let's say you had a computer that did acquisitions, and some of the data on there, it specifically talks about buying and selling computers for the Department of Defense, right? So in this example, this information is impact level is moderate for confidentiality, and it is moderate for integrity, and it's low for availability. So you got moderate, low. High watermark means you take the highest impact level. That's what you take the highest watermark. Have you ever heard the term tide raises all boats? Basically, if the watermark is here, everything on that water is also going to be raised to this level, right? So that's what high watermark means. If it's like this, everything on that watermark level is at that level. So that, with that said, this acquisition systems data type, this data would then be a moderate, because the highest level was a moderate. So therefore, it's going to be a moderate. Not so much for a national security system. That's where it differs. So a national security system, each one of the security objectives remain exactly how it is. Like there's no high watermark. So if the confidentiality is moderate, if the integrity of that data is moderate, if it's a moderate impact level, it remains moderate. If the availability is a low impact level, it remains a low impact level. So that is what I mean by NSS does not do high watermark. So that's one of the differences. Another difference is the moderate and high have a more detailed definition. Another difference is that and I'll show you this one, confidentiality, integrity, and availability impact levels are different for specific security controls. And I'm going to show you that. That's what this whole NIST, this whole NSSI 1253 is all about. It breaks down where it differs, and I'm going to show you specifically what I'm talking about there. And then another thing it does is it has overlays, meaning other controls based on what kind of national security system it is. Now let me show you an example of what I meant by differences of the security objectives. So I told you that the confidentiality, integrity, and availability is a little bit different coming from when you compare the NIST standard, 800 series standard, compared to the national security systems. Right here, you have the 1253, and we're looking specifically at AC25, right here where the red arrow is pointing here. That's AC25. AC25 deals with account management. And account management for low, if you had a low-level system, here's what this means. If you had a low-level system, low-impact system, like say a web server that you guys you put out information out there. It's not taking credit cards information. It's not super important. It's just all it is an information portal. If it goes down, that's fine. You just put it back up again in 2-3 days, whatever, right? It's a low-impact system. On a low impact system, if it's NIST, AC25, you don't have to do it. There's no X here. That means you don't have to worry about that particular control. You don't have to do inactivity logout. That's what this one is specifically. AC2.5 is account management inactivity logout. You would not have to do it on a low system. That's what this is saying. But if it was a moderate system, like let's say it was linked to bank accounts, yeah, the X means you have to do it. If it's a high system, that means you have to do it. X means you have to do it. Now, if we go to the NSS system, National Security System, and it's pointing to the same control. Let me move my face here so you can see it. The same control. Okay, move my face here. Okay, there. The same control, AC2.5, which is inactivity logout, you have to do it. See that little plus? All of this is in the 1253. So it has these pluses throughout the document where it doesn't matter if it's low, moderate, whatever. If it has a plus here, you'd have to do it. So that's another one of the differences between NIST 853 and what you have to do with a DoD risk management IT system if it was a national security system. So I hope that makes sense. Let me see. And then here's some overlays. I didn't have the time to find any specific overlays, but here's what they look like right here. There's overlays for if you had an intelligence system, if you have a cross-domain solution. Cross-domain solution is like it's a server where you're moving data that is top secret to secret or secret to top secret. There's a bunch of processes you have to do, and there's a technical way to do it to make it so that this top secret information, data on this top secret information can go down to secure just the regular secret information or unclassed information. So that's a cross-domain solution. And so there's a whole overlay. There's a whole another group of controls that you would have to do on top of the NIST 853. There's also one for space platforms, and then there's just a general security overlay template that you do for all national security systems. So that's another difference that you have to do with DoD Risk Management Framework IT. It's not really a lot. I know it sounds complicated. It's really not. And this is something maybe I should just teach separately so I can go in more detail and not have to speed through this stuff and give more specific examples.